Broadcasting live from sunny South Florida, this is KMA Talk Radio. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of fine cigars. Your KMA crew, the Italian Scallion, Paul DeGracco, Alex Tavella, a.k.a. The GOAT, and always telling it like it is, Honest Abe.
I like to smoke them like the Winston Churchill, like John Kennedy, yeah. Remember Coach Red Auerbach, smoked up for victory, yeah. Well, you can take my wife, you can take my car, but you can't take my big cigar. My cigar.
Good morning to all our loyal listeners, libertarians, and lovers of the leaf. I'm Honest Abe. We are broadcasting live from Palm Beach County, Florida, along with my co-hosts, the Italian Scallion himself, Paul DeGracco, and none other than the GOAT, Alex Tavella. This is episode number 421, and obviously
he's gone.
Paul's gone. This morning is on next level.
He's gone, and that's that, and there's nothing we can do.
I say we don't let him back in.
Unfortunately, he's an admin. If I could change it real quick, he can pop himself back in.
Dang.
But let's enjoy the moment. There's a moment of peace, and there's a moment of tranquility here that I think we should really relish in. I'm feeling very, philosophical today based on my pre-conversations with our upcoming guest.
Oh, you guys! I was running a little late this morning, so I didn't get a lot of that pre.
We had a few moments that hopefully we're going to recreate on the show, or hopefully not. I don't know. It depends on how far it goes. But anyway,
the big news here in Florida this week is that we've kind of gone maskless now. I mean, the state's becoming pretty much a maskless state. I mean, a lot of places now have removed their signage. Look, there's always going to be, I think, a percentage of the population that are going to wear masks till the end of time.
That's fine.
I'm all right with that. That's what they choose. Doesn't bother me.
Yeah, I don't think I had a mask on all week.
The school board
anywhere.
The school board now has come and said that basically the kids will not have to wear masks at school next year. So looks like the road to normalcy is back on track. Yeah.
I mean, we're there. At least here. I don't know what the rest of the country's doing, but at least here we're kind of back.
Yeah, we do kind of live in a little bubble here in Florida.
We do. We really do. And thank God for that, to be honest.
Although the last day I was in Vegas last week, which was really funny because I went to Vegas for my parents' 50th, not for the TPE because I've never been to the TPE. And it was funny because I was really trying to make sure that I tried to stay incognito as possible while I was down there. The last day before we left, they started taking all the plexiglass barricades down.
Right.
And they were already making all the motions to alleviate all the COVID regulations, stipulations, precautions that were there. And it was really, actually, it was a great trip. We'd been to Vegas probably about a dozen times, and this was our most enjoyable one, even though the service was, the service was only lackluster because they just didn't have bodies.
There were no human beings, right?
There was no bodies. There was no staff. It was hard for them to have staff. The digital signs on the strip where normally would have these shows are playing was like now hiring, help wanted. It was crazy.
You see those signs everywhere. They're in every store. They're everywhere.
But it was a great trip for us because normally we only go to Vegas for a show, and it's always work. And, even though you have fun, you're tied up from 9 a.m. till 2 a.m, pretty much,
Right.
And we got to do whatever we wanted. So it was actually a very cool and fun trip for us in Vegas this year. Speaking of which, how's the little man? I know he was a little bit under the weather.
The little man is okay. He still has a little lingering cough. Looks like he had a little mild case of bronchitis, which a couple of kids apparently in the class had. But he's all right. He feels fine. He's just got this cough that lingers. And, so he stayed home all week. School would have sent him home anyway. But otherwise, he's all right.
Yeah, you can't even sniffle in school.
No.
The slightest sign of a hiccup, and you're going home.
No, Carmine rubbed his eye one day, and it was a little red, and they called me to make me pick him up because they were worried about pink eye. And literally rubbed his eye. I tried not to blow a gasket that day, but what are you gonna do? It's one of those things. You're just kind of stuck. It's like, what am I going to? I'm just going to pull my kid out of school. I'm done with this place. You're kind of at their whatever they decide is what you got to do.
So have you heard from Paul? Is he coming back on or is he gone?
Yeah, he said his internet's gone and he's coming back on. He don't know what happened. His internet took a shit. And
did you play the intro or did he play the intro?
He had the intro started, and that's why there was a little delay.
I thought there was a delay.
There was. I didn't realize it was 2 clips. I was not aware of that. But I managed to
he did the first part and then you started the second part.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was 2 clips.
Got it. Well, it should be an interesting show. We have an interesting guest this week. A lot of cool stuff going on. Other than that, how was the week while I was gone?
Let's see. The week while you were gone, so that was last week. You were back this week, and I was gone most of this week for the most part. The week while you were gone, it was okay. It was, the usual annex.
I was here for a Saturday after.
Yeah, you were here. I know. It was kind of the.
Yeah, everything's a little bit blurred, man. In my time in my head, it really is.
Yeah. Well, you came back that night, Friday night, and Saturday morning here you were. Probably still vaguely in Vegas time, but we had a great show last week, Al McAuliffe.
What an interesting guy he was. I mean, that was his first time on our show. I really enjoyed that segment. For me, honestly, my favorite shows are typically when I have somebody who's never been on the show before.
Right.
Because then the show is kind of like just as much for us as it is for our audience, right? We get to learn new stuff and we're genuinely asking questions that we don't know the answers to sometimes.
Well, fortunately for me, being that I'm fairly new to the show, they're all new guests. I get that experience. I get to watch the movie for the first time every time. Right.
I mean, a lot of times I'll ask questions I already know the answer to. I'm just asking because I know there are people out in the audience who don't have it, right? So when you have a new guest like that, a lot of times I have no idea what the answers are. So that's always pretty cool. Cool stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a great episode.
And then you guys finished your Tale of the Tape.
We finished our Tale of the Tape.
1 through 10. We should post that. You know what? You should have that posted somewhere on the KMA page. Just to keep a record. They should make a Tale of the Tape page with keeping a record of your seasons and what you and Coop's.
Yes.
That final screenshot you make should be.
Yeah, the number 1. Yeah, we'll do that. And today we're going to announce what our the evolution.
Season 2. That's what I call it.
Evolution. Season 2 of Tale of the Tape. But nobody really knows where we're going. So this is the thing.
So Tale of the Tape 7 will continue with different themes, and you'll announce the theme for Season 2, which starts next week.
Yes. So essentially, Tale of the Tape will turn into a top 10 list of one thing or another throughout KMA, and we'll announce
an ongoing segment made by accident.
Yes, made by Coop and I just hijacking a minute of the show, which we wound up turning into its own segment. Oh, I think Paul's back. I can probably pull him back out if he tries to come in. I can do that.
Do you have to let him in?
I don't have to let him in, but I can.
Yeah, somebody's got to let me in every time I.
Yeah, Paul and I signed up under the admin. He's texting me. Wait, watch. Let me see if it works. Ha! See, I can do it. We can,
That's funny. Now he knows what it feels like to be Alan Rubin, the fake Alan Rubin.
Yes.
Oh man, AT&T's having issues today. Am I coming through clear? Because I'm coming through my mobile.
Didn't pay your bill, did you?
You know what? It's possible. Everything's on auto bill pay, so who the hell knows? Sorry about that. But I was watching on my phone while you guys were doing it. It still feels weird for me to be maskless. By the way, I guess you guys don't mind it, but. Yeah. I still wear my mask in some places.
See, you've been institutionalized.
Yeah, I guess I've been brainwashed, right?
You've been institutionalized. It's supposed to feel weird with the mask, not without the mask.
I tell you what, flying with the mask was really an experience because I've never had to have one on for 6 hours.
Oh, wow. I can't imagine.
Yeah, 6 hours plus walking through the airports. It was probably like a 7.5 hour trip altogether, 8 hour trip.
You just go to the bathroom just to take the mask down for a minute.
And let me tell you something. On my flight home from the Vegas leg to Charlotte, that woman was a Gestapo. 3 times before the plane took off, she warned me, and I'm sensing this woman's going to kick me off the plane if I do it one more time accidentally. Because I wouldn't take it off, but I would lower it to say something and leave it on my chin or whatever, and.
You would have gotten a new tattoo if you got kicked off that plane because you weren't going to Vegas then.
What did you fly? What airline?
American.
I've only ever flown Spirit to Vegas, the subway of the skies.
Wow, what a slogan, bro!
Right?
That's actually great. It's
Right? But listen, for Vegas, if you spend the extra couple bucks and you get that front 2 rows, it's the only one that does a straight flight. So I used to catch the red eye home from Vegas, leave, Vegas 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. And
where do you leave out of?
Fort Lauderdale.
See, I would rather pay extra
for the layover than go to
and have a connection than not fly out of Palm Beach International. I love flying out of Palm Beach.
It's the best.
The best. And you got to remember, I grew up flying in and out of O'Hare. Yeah. Palm Beach International is the best. You're in and out in 20 minutes. You could literally park your car 30 minutes before your flight and still board the plane on time.
We used to do it all the time before COVID. We could get there even with the kids. One of the kids, because Eli's never flown. So when I fly to Long Island, I fly from Palm Beach International Airport on Southwest to MacArthur in Islip. That's another tiny little airport. It's the same thing. You can get there a half hour before, just park quick, go. The parking is cheap at PBI. I think the premium parking is $25 a day.
My favorite airport, man. And then when you land, it's 10 minutes to get home. So right. I mean, I will spend the extra money. I will take the connecting flight, but I will just always rather prefer to fly out of PBI.
Same here. We do it for work all the time. We fly Delta. We don't fly American anymore because of a bunch of bad experiences. I know you're a big American guy, but
no, that was my company card for a while. So we had 2 point million miles on it.
Well, so yeah, you got to use them.
So I'm going to use them, but we switched now over to another corporate card. So now I could use any airline. We have the American Express thing now, and so now they're just points, and they can be used on anyone. In fact, we just booked our PCA trip, and we're actually flying Delta to Vegas.
Listen,
PCA.
For the money, I've flown a lot in my life. Delta is by far the best airline domestically, in my opinion. For the money, I've flown Virgin. Everybody thinks that it's so great because of all the lights and all the cool doohickeys in it. Delta still has that old school take care of the customer mentality, in my opinion. So first class on Delta doesn't get any better than that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I always flew Fort Lauderdale. I was never the one really driving.
I'll let you know in May, June, July, in a couple months. So what's interesting now is flying first class and no one offering you any booze.
That's what I was gonna ask you that. So they don't. Do they have the?
They Paul's frozen. They don't have the booze. They did offer us some sodas or whatever, and they bought some pre-packed meal in a box sandwich that was in a Ziploc bag with a wipe in it and whatever. You didn't get the warm nuts. I mean, normally when you board on a plane, while everybody else is boarding, they come up already, right? Can we get you something to drink? It's like the first question, like within the first 5 seconds, your ass hits the seat and nothing. And then when we're off the ground, they came around to see if they wanted a Coke or a Sprite or a soda or a water or whatever. But no, I mean, typically that's half the fun of first class.
That's the benefit of first class because you get to have your drink.
You start pounding your drink before you get off the ground.
You have your drink and everybody's walking by you. Yeah. You're sipping a drink and people are walking by you.
Emily and
hey, how are you?
Emily and I, one of our former co-hosts, Lady M, we went and did a live remote from Washington, D.C. We did the Little Puff. And I remember we took off from PBI and we started with Bloody Marys and we got wasted before we got to Atlanta, like butt wasted. In fact, it was on that flight that she made me text my wife about having our 4th kid. And my wife said, yes.
It's funny when I used to fly to Vegas, I would go out with my old business partner. We would go for the World Series of Poker. He's a big time poker player. He has a World Series bracelet. But before we went, he always just took cash with him. And when we would go, I would stay for a week. He would stay for the month. He would stay for the whole tournament. And he would literally hand me a brick of cash to put in my, like literally $20,000. He would carry 20 and I would carry 20,000 in a fucking school bag on the flight. I felt like I was smuggling money and drugs into Vegas. Like imagine sitting with a Spirit subway flight. I have $20,000 in a bag. I wanted to like fucking handcuff it to my arm. And that was his money for tournament play for the month in Vegas.
Talk about pressure about not losing your handbag.
You know what I mean? Like,
Your carry-on bag.
Even just going through security, I just felt dirty. I felt like I'm going to, what am I going to say? I'm going to say, what the hell is this giant, go to Vegas,
See, the old me would have arranged someone to mug both of us on the way to the airport.
Right. That's what I wanted to
do. Terrible.
But it's funny because I remember one year.
An inside job.
One year we didn't bring cash. He just got money transferred to the Bellagio. And it was so Vegas because we got there and we said, come on, we got to take a while. I got to go pick up my transfer. So he picks up a $50,000 transfer and literally they just slide him 10 chips. And that was his $50,000 transfer. It's like the most Vegas thing that is Vegas.
Yeah. $10,000.
Yeah. Here you go. Here's your $50,000 transfer. It was incredible.
That is insane. It's not a chip you want to drop.
No, it's not a chip you want to drop, which to me is only eclipsed by watching the high stakes baccarat rooms in the Aria, which is it's just the most insane thing I've ever watched. I mean, you could see $750,000 get swiped off a table in one hand the baccarat. It's it makes me wonder what some of these people do for a living that can gamble like that.
They do. Listen, I had an uncle who was a big time gambler. I mean, when he went to Vegas, he was a big time gambler. This was my mom's brother. He passed away, God rest his soul. And he used to. They used to send him back in the day, like airline tickets, hotel stay, and tickets, like front row seats, first row seats for like all the epic legendary fights, the Sugar Ray fights, the Hagler fights, the Cesar Chavez, like they were all in Vegas back in the day. So my dad got to go to a lot of these with my mom's brother and my uncle. And, my dad still jokes about it. Going to Vegas will never be the same after he passed away because it's like, when you get that kind of treatment, they're everybody out there, they stay in suites. They would get a Caesars card no matter where they eat dinner in another hotel on the strip. Caesars picked up the tab. It was like a credit card. They had limos taking them everywhere. And I worked in the same office with him after my second year in college. I was actually working with my other uncle, but they had offices in the same building. And I remember he asked me for some coffee one day. He was having a meeting, so I went and got coffee, poured it all. And they would do these ceramic mugs, right? And as I went to go pick them up, I almost tripped. He said, "Oh, don't break those mugs. Those are $20,000 each." Said, what? So I took them to the sink, and I'm looking back, and I see, nothing, no name brand, nothing. So I really just went after. I said, "Those really are." Yes, they did. I lost $300,000 that weekend in Vegas. I took those from the suite. Great little story. Paul, you look very introspective, like you're working on something. What are you doing?
I'm still making sure that I stay connected to you guys. But I'm listening to your story.
Well, that being said, we got one of our funnest and oldest friends on KMA this week. No reason to waste any more time. Let's get him on.
I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell.
It's time to meet your maker.
The man, the myth, the legend, Matt Booth. Boofy.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Big Delicious.
What's up, Matt? I think I called it spot on this week when Juan Cancel tried to compare himself to you.
Oh, yes.
And I said, well, Matt looks like a prophet and you look like a Mexican cartel lord. So, I mean, I think
in many ways, possibly these are one and the same. I don't know.
Wow.
In many ways, he may be right.
I haven't yet dissected that psychologically, but I felt maybe there's some sort of undertone of connectivity there.
Now, everybody knows you're former military, and you've worn your hair short, or not really long, for as many years I've known you. How are you feeling with the new drapes? And are you getting accustomed to it? Are you liking the feel of having, basically a head curtain at all times?
I actually very much enjoy it. I feel highly sexual. I feel, I feel like I'm fully realizing the animal that I've always been. This is like a mane.
I will never know that feeling.
Well, I'll bring myself in very close proximity to you and drape my hair.
It radiates, right?
Yeah,
I'm
It'll
afraid
just radiate through you.
as I
I'm afraid you start gnawing on my hot dogs if I let you that close.
You know, I mean, obviously, look, this will be a pleasurable thing. The thing is, though, it's the anticipation. Really, I've been surviving off that actually for the last 12 years. So, I mean, if I actually go in on those, I don't know what's going to happen. So I'm just trying to keep myself, on teetering on the ledge of ecstasy with you, if you see what I'm saying.
Interesting.
Yes.
Just so our audience knows what we're talking about, this was the picture.
Oh dear God!
Juan Cancel posted.
Literally,
he even went with the eyebrow action, like the subtle peak of the. Oh my God! No, not. Oh dear.
And shirtless.
Wow. Can you at least elevate the image so we can see his nipples? Were his nipples actually in the photo?
They were not. That's the full image. But if you have seen them before, the
nipples
they are quite large.
The nipples.
I've seen them.
It's a trademark shirtless Mike move.
Yes.
We spoke about Mike's nipples actually before the show.
I mean, we were talking about said nipples just before we came on this show. I think about them often.
Yeah.
Okay. On that note, I'd like to pay a little homage because I had to dig because Matt, you have made me some wonderful gifts and overtime. By the way, I did ask you for something recently, didn't I? How's that coming along?
It's coming along quite well.
I need to take this cheap concoction off my wrist. But Matt, yes?
No, it's coming along quite well.
Okay. Matt.
Oh, your beads?
Yeah, I don't like what I got. And Matt makes only bead bracelets like in Kid Gap sizes. So none of them.
Oh no, yeah, he doesn't make 13-inch around beads. You buy a necklace from him that probably fits good on your wrist.
Don't think I didn't try. It's too big. I even tried to double up a necklace, but Matt's made me some stainless bracelets over time. I have a couple. I have actually a nice plethora of things I've purchased and been gifted from my friend, and rings and stuff. But one of the coolest pieces, and I dawned on it today, I had to take this off because I will have to go see a chiropractor after the show from wearing this piece. But this is a piece he made me when we launched the Big Delicious. I didn't have time to polish it. I'm sorry.
It's road miles on it.
But this was the Big Delicious medallion.
The chain, bro.
On the back.
Look at that.
Wow. I can hear. Wow.
2013. Wow. And this chain is like you could hurt somebody with this.
Yeah, it's like a chain you put on a boat trailer.
But I have to mark a milestone and credit to you, Abe. 5 months ago, you weren't pulling that thing up off your neck.
What you say? I wouldn't got it around my head?
No way. No
Are
way.
you saying the circumference of his cranium has?
It has absolutely.
I am officially, let's see here, 45, 35. I'm officially down about 80 pounds now.
Well done, sir.
Yo.
I got about another 70 to go, and I'll hit home. Started back up on the meals and the training. Alex and I have hopefully Monday we'll start up our racquetball again. I had to stop because when I was in Vegas, I got a bad case of plantar fasciitis. And
I've been there.
What that is one painful bitch. I've been limping around for the last 2 weeks.
Runners get them. When I used to run a lot, I had gotten it once or twice, and you can't walk.
No, and it's brutal in the morning because it tightens up all night while you sleep. So if you get up and you got to go to the bathroom, you can't. I was hopping on one leg to the bathroom the other morning because you can't put your foot on the ground. So now I got this brace that literally you put around your ankle and calf, and it curbs your foot, and then it tightens. So your foot's like stretched all night while you sleep, and it's actually helped a lot.
Huh. I always just did they gave me exercises to do in the past. But it's funny, you lost 70 pounds. I probably gained 70 pounds.
I wasn't going to embarrass you on the screen, Paul.
I was going to say, you don't take me for much of a runner, Paul.
That double chin is starting to become, it's starting to venture on triple soon if you don't get it back under control. I think COVID-19 became COVID-38 for you.
It did. I used to run, Alex. Before I had children, I ran every day. I probably ran not a lot, like 2.5, 3 miles, depending on what I felt like. But yeah, gotta get back into that. That's It's difficult. I'm working from home all the time. I'm in elastic pants. You know, it's you forget. I can't wear. I have like 6 pairs of jeans here. I can't wear any of them.
I'm going to
lose weight just to fit into them.
You know those guys at the carnivals that guess your weight and age?
Yeah.
I've always been very good at that. That was like that was my missed calling in life. But I'm going to venture to say since COVID, 25 to 30 pounds.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I haven't weighed myself because you know what? I have a number in my head that if I get over it, it's like the oh shit moment. Like my whole life.
So where would you range him, Abe? Where would you range Paul?
I don't know, but just looking at his face and his physique, I can only see him like shoulders up half the time. But
yeah, you haven't seen me in person for a while.
I'm gonna say just from the chin action I see he's got going on. If we measured it from a year ago when COVID started, it's a minimum of 25, possibly 30 pounds.
No, I think it's 30 pounds that I've gained. I would probably guess that in a year.
So are we talking over under 210?
I'm also 5'7". So
I'm 5'6".
For me to be over 200 pounds I've never been over 200 pounds.
I think you're creeping it.
I might be close, but I don't think I'll weigh myself. I'm not going to do it on the air.
Oh, you got to weigh yourself. You got to know. Weigh yourself during the break. I'm telling you, you're creeping it.
Yeah.
Listen,
during the break, get a glass of Sunal and stand on the scale. Let's see what you weigh.
Yeah, I mean, 5'6", 5'7" is I'm 200 pounds.
Are you really? And you've lost some weight though. You could tell. You see it in your face.
Yeah, I have like Evan Darnell genetics in the calves. You know what I mean? So
yeah, you got big legs. Yeah.
Yeah, me and Evan share genetics, I guess. So yeah, I'm 200.
Meanwhile, the three of us are talking about this while we're joined by an Adonis.
Well, that's
Matt
that's
here.
That's why we're just. Evan Darnell could probably bench about 500.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
He's also very juicy. He has a
very juicy.
He has very tautness to his flesh, which entices me. It's really about. That's what it really is. It's when the skin is pressed tautly outward, but not in a way that's cellulatory, if you know what I'm saying.
Now, before we
juicy, firmly juicy.
Yeah, I'm trying to get off the firmly juicy comments.
Oh, okay, fine.
They're a little starting to get a little scary, but before we get into Boothville, right? I think we should tease this. Being that I'm still waiting for your end of the project, it still hasn't happened, but we love giving our KMA listeners all the updates, which by the way, I didn't show this work here, but look on the side of the ring, the work that, I don't know if I can get it on there.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's how thick that is.
Oh yeah, like a mill grain?
Yes, look at that. It's really a beautiful piece. But I love giving teasers, unlike Coop, and news out on KMA Talk Radio, so all our listeners will be the first to hear it here. But the man Boofy and I are actually working on Little Big Delicious.
That's true.
Ooh.
To be released late this year, maybe early next year. At the rate Matt's going, it's probably going to be early next year.
Jesus, Matt. Have faith in your boy.
You're supposed to have
I'm going to pull this off for you. I'm going to pull it off for you.
But yes,
I will.
What is the theory behind Little Big Delicious? It's a smaller cigar?
Smaller version of the Big Bad Boy.
Okay.
Big Delicious was actually really one of they were all my favorite. I can't lie. I mean, I worked hand in hand, and me and my team selected the blends to pick, but it was one of the funnest ones. It was the only micro blend that we did that had its own cartoon strip that we made and had some amazing art done, and both my image and Matt's image was on probably one of the coolest bands I've seen in the industry. So
it's a great party too.
And just so you know, Matt and I have talked about doing Little Big Delicious since the birth of our kids.
Yeah.
So, my son is now 6. How old is yours?
5.
So this is something we've been talking about for 5 years, literally. Because when we both had sons, we thought it'd be awesome. Hey, let's do Little Big Delicious in honor of our boys. And we never got around to it. We kept bouncing on it from time to time, and then we get preoccupied. But Matt graced us with our presence a few months ago, and we sat down. We said we're going to put it on the calendar this year, and so it is in motion. Little Big Delicious is in the process of being worked on and made. So those Big Delicious fans, you have something to look forward to.
Yeah, that is cool. I would be excited to try it only because I don't think I've seen the Big Delicious cigar before because you've had them there, and I think you may have them in your vintage room, Abe. I think you have a couple packs of them in there. Possibly, is that maybe that's where I saw them?
Not
anymore.
I think they're gone.
I've never smoked one.
My only request is if you're doing that, can we throw another party? Because that was an epic party, as I remember.
You were there.
It would be appropriate.
I was there as a consumer. That was an epic party.
That was back when we had Davidoff money.
Right. It was not too bad.
We had the Jackie Browns and the Superfly girls, and
yeah.
That was fun.
Wow,
that was actually our first big event in this location.
You're right. It was. You had grand opening, and then it was that.
It was our first big event. Yep, the next cigar. So I'm excited to be working on that with my brother.
As am I.
That should be fun. And now everybody, prepare yourselves. Put your seatbelts on. We'll be taking a ride to Boothville.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, should I just start? Is that
well? You know what? Let's see if we can recreate magic. Right. So we were discussing something. We were discussing when everyone had just abandoned us, and it was just you and I in a moment.
Were we talking about my entree into the business, or my?
Yes. Let's start there.
Situation?
Let's start there. We'll go to your
yes.
Sexuality.
I mean, look. Okay.
I mean, one is no better or worse than the other, but let's start.
I mean, I was just commenting. You know, I was being transparent, open, and honest about my physical state this morning. I am, essentially violently hungover. I have damaged myself, and then I started to think about, this is something that I do. Before I have something to do, it's almost like a challenge to operate under damaged conditions. It's to operate under fire, really, and perform, right? And then I start to trip down memory lane, right? And I mentioned, I remember vividly, I was very fortunate the way I spun my little web as I was entering this industry. I was afforded certain position and introductions that I think a lot of people are not out of the gate. And, before we had launched our cigar brand, I was flying, to New York City, you may have heard of it, to meet a gentleman by the name of Dave Savona. Now, Dave, holler at your boy. You remember. So I go meet Dave Savona. We introduce him to the fact that, we're going to launch this Room 101 cigar. Now, just before walking in to this very fine building in Manhattan, met with vomits. I can no longer contain myself, right? Brutalized. I was in the most violent pain you could ever imagine. Searing pain. And I go in and I operate. And for all I know, Dave threw up before I came in his office. So, I mean, what's good, right? And in fact, I imagined that many times. You also have to imagine, for many people in that state, there's a trigger to further vomiting. And mine really, not so much cigars, but the smell of cigarette smoke specifically, it's over. Like blow a puff in my face and I will expel upon you quickly, right? So of course we're smoking cigars. I mean, full champion. I held it together masterfully. Right. Anyways, whatever. That was my story. I think the other one is far more exciting, really.
Well, I agree. I mean, like I said, it could be. That can go on for days. The list.
I'd
never
like
ends.
to know if Dave threw up, though. I think that's really what my takeaway from that is. Dave, did you also vomit? Or maybe after we met? I mean, maybe there was a reaction. I don't know. I just think there was a lot of things going on that morning. Do you want me to trundle down the Hershey Highway of Destruction here? Is this what you want me to do?
I say we go until Abe pulls us off the road.
Okay, that's quite fine. I will dance appropriately as the cigar monkey that I am. So here's the deal. I have made it this far by weaponizing my sexual energy to market my branded business effort in this industry. And I aggress many people frontally with it, undress them really, you know, and it's a tactic that I think generates, you know, a feeling of, you know, closeness. You feel closer to people. They feel dangerous because you know, the dude's flirting like, hey, nice tie, whatever you're talking about, you know. And Ronnie Hishihashi is also.
You're not the only one, Ronnie.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
He's a victim
I'm here.
of my sexual prowess, also. But here's the deal.
We should have put a disclaimer for this show.
Yeah.
Which one? I mean, there are several. That,
NC-17.
You know,
NC-17, we are not responsible for the path it takes, a bunch of them. We should have had a disclaimer.
I got you. So, you know, I mean, and this is what I do. So, you know, turning, you know, like I said, my pheromone game, you know, the tip of my marketing spear, as it were, if you would, if we could. It's done me well, and I think that if other people did it, oh dear, look, I will not be silenced. I mean, you know, you could mute me, I guess. So look, here's the deal. I've done very well with this. I have. But recently, okay, I have come face to face. Now, look, I like to say that, you know, I own the meat game in this business. Not like our boy, Evan, you know, Big Juicy Darnell, but like in another sense, right? Another style.
Another
so,
yes.
Another style, if you will. So,
I see where you're going with this.
Where the fuck am I going, Paul? Why don't you tell me where I'm going? Where am I going?
Exactly. Because I have no idea where you're going.
I don't know where I don't even know where I'm going. What do you? Okay. So here's the deal. Recently, I'm not going to say this is a backfire, but I'm having to reconcile the fact that, I mean, you know, look, I step out the door, you know, to go, you know, maliciously promote myself, shamelessly, our branded business efforts, you know, and you know, my beautiful wife, Pterodactyl Boo, you know, many times, you know, she has mentioned that her friends and her have had these conversations where, you know, they're like, hey, you know, aren't you a little concerned? He's on the road, he's out, you don't know what he's doing, you know, you can't put a leash on a rattlesnake. You know what I mean? And you know, a very virile man like myself, you know, that, you know, you get it. But she has nothing to worry about because I'm fully content. However,
I have to address the elephant in the room because I don't know if I'm interrupting a story or not right now.
I'm like halfway there.
I don't know. I didn't know where we're at in the story, but I have to.
I'm about halfway.
The elephant in the room is that a painting behind you with your head on it?
Oh, this is a rendition of the traditional, you know, Aztec warrior and lady portrait.
With
but
your
it's
head.
Myself. Yes, but it's also myself.
Is that you and Robert Caldwell?
Yeah, it's me and my dear friend Robert Caldwell. And this is a fawn, if you can't make that out. It's a fawn in his lap. Magnificent dress on Robert there.
And this is not up there for the show. This is just hanging in your house normally.
No, this is my dining room. And you know, the interesting thing about this is that I hung this proudly in my dining room. We have many fine pieces of art, visual stimulus in my home. And when people come over, they check it out and I show them stuff. And without fail, especially my family members and people close to me, they come through that and go, oh, this is, and they see this one. And it does not exist. They walk past it as if they're strategically ignoring it. And you know why? Because they don't want the conversation. They don't dare. Because they know that I'm going to talk about that. And they don't even want to hear what's going to come out of my mouth. They're just like, I'm not going to engage this. I'm not going to do it. You know, and it's every fucking time, man. It's amazing. So, yes. Anyways. You weren't interrupting. It was a nice intermission. Paul, where was I? Oh yeah, sexual energy. So here's the deal. Recently, I'm not going to say this has backfired on me, because many a dude want me, right? And this is what I was getting to with the pterodactyl boot comment. She tells her friends all the time, they're like, aren't you concerned? He's out there philandering about. And she's like, I never in my life thought I would have to be concerned about dudes, but these cats really want him. To a certain degree. Now, recently, I was in a position where I realized, okay, and the names shall remain, out of the script for their own privacy. But I realized that, this cat actually wants to fuck me. Like, for real. And now I'm
You may have given him the wrong idea.
I gave
him the right idea.
I gave him the right idea, but the reaction was not exactly what I was cooking up there. It was, so now the tables have turned, essentially. Touche. All right, that's it. I'm done. Sorry, Big Delicious. I mean, you had me on your show.
No apologies necessary. No apologies necessary.
That is a great painting, but I'm now envisioning in my head a Matt Booth rendering of Vigo the Carpathian, but Matt Booth.
Yes, man. Would you hang it in your dining room?
I would hang it in my dining room proudly.
Well, let's get it done.
Let's get it done.
Let's get it done. And this is this has been airbrushed onto the hood and trunk of many 64 Impala over the years. You understand what I'm saying? This is a very iconic image. But I thought, let's spruce it up a little bit. Let's get this really, romantic.
As it should be.
That's all I got. So anyways, do we want to talk about some cigars, or is this like
Well, we got cigars, we got gin, we got new products, we got a lot of stuff on the palette.
Oh my God! So I'm just running my hot holster incessantly while we wait to talk about other things.
No, everybody needs a good acid trip on a Saturday morning.
I can't really argue that. I got to be honest with you. I mean, if you're going to go for it, go psychedelic. But beware. These are the thinking person's drugs. Don't let a dumb person do acid, because they'll become terrified and violent.
And there you have
just
it.
A heads up.
Now you know.
Yeah.
Writing it. Yeah, I'm making a mental note here.
The thinking men's drug. That's what it is. I mean, allegedly, at least from what I can put together. Ooh.
So we may have.
Somebody asked and wants to know where the Room 101 name come from.
Nobody knows that?
Mateo, he's new. He's getting into it. So we'll ask for him.
From the beautiful story, 1984. Yes. A little intimate detail from George Orwell's 1984. And I happen to favor that story. And it really continues to resonate to this day, probably will to the end of time, because it's about, people trying to stamp out, individuality, freedom of expression, freedom of free thought, all of these things, right? And these are things that we must hold on to with a vice-like death grip, similarly to the way that I will hold on to the back of Big Delicious's neck.
You know what's funny, Matt?
Huh?
Now I'm going to get real on Matt a little bit and see how he handles it, right? From someone who's ex-military.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Those are kind of things that on some level embody what the military actually needs from its soldiers. So how do you come from this, way of life where there kind of really isn't, there's no individuals, it's all whole, and and you've got to follow orders no matter what, and they're not worried about your personal opinions, it's what's good for the country and whatnot, to this ideology is completely the other way that you have.
Truth time?
Yeah.
Your boy may have not seen eye to eye with the organization. Or maybe they didn't see eye to eye with me all the time. However, I will say this. When the real work occurred, the job got done without question. you know, but you can't chain the 17 voices that are speaking simultaneously in my mind.
Wow.
You know, it's not going to happen, Captain.
How many years did you serve?
4 in the infantry, actually.
Thank you very much for your service, my friend.
Man, thank you.
Seriously,
I appreciate that.
That's amazing.
It's all good, man. I appreciate that. Thank you, but it's all good. It's part. It's
It was a chapter in the Booth biography.
100%. 100%. And you know, man, I mean, I firmly believe had I not taken that path, you know, you and I probably would have never met. And that would have been the greatest loss of all. Maybe not for you. You would have been like relieved. But me, it would have been a tremendous loss for me.
Did I ever tell you who first told me about you?
No.
Really?
Was it Sal?
Yep.
We shared a mutual
Sal
friend.
Fontana, which is one of my mentors. Anybody who watches his shows knows.
Yeah. Oh.
Was extremely enamored with you because when you first launched your Room 101 line, you did it with Camacho Cigars at the time.
That's true.
That was pre-Davidoff.
That's true.
And I can't remember the story of how you met Christian and got into making cigars because at that time you were making pretty much jewelry. And Sal was enamored with you. He said, "Abe, you got to meet this kid. This guy's amazing." And da-da-da. And that's what actually led it to us meeting is Sal. Yeah, Sal was very enamored. He said, "This is a young man, and he's really, he's something else. He's very bright, and he does his jewelry, and he's working with us, making a cigar." And he goes, "You got to meet this guy." And that's what eventually led to our meeting.
I mean, that literally gave me goosebumps, man. I love Sal. He was a legend, and for me to have the opportunity to work next to him. Is, you know, I mean, dude, this industry, my activity in this industry has afforded me so many treasures, right? And honestly, I've been through so much fucking weird shit in my life, and in the weirdest of weird moments, you typically tend to bond with each other, whoever you're around, right? And even beyond that, I mean, this business has afforded me some of the best friendships of my life, you know, and some of the greatest experiences of my life. And he was, you know, a chapter or two in that book, in the beginning of that book. He used to call me Dracula because I used to dye my hair black, right? Like, "Hey, Dracula." Like, yeah, you know, the key to this business is consistency, kid. Either be consistently good or consistently bad, but be consistent. And you know, the funny thing,
that was a Salism.
I was in the car, no bullshit, with Tom Lazuka, another legend, the white rhino of this industry. And we were somewhere in Detroit Way, right, of course. And we're on the freeway and he's screaming at someone, cutting him off. And then it hits me. I'm like, wait a second. That's what he meant by that. I mean, dude, lessons that he taught me hit me. I mean, years later, I was like, oh my God, that's what the fuck he meant by that. You know what I mean? Like it just boom, like a freight train, and it never got out of my head, man. That dude, you know, we could do the rest of the show could just be talking about him. You know,
it can't be.
And I think if I was going to sum it up, like I feel nothing but gratitude, and it was great fortune that I was able to cross his path in this lifetime. 100%. As it is with you, my dear friend, Big Delicious.
Me too.
You are one of my national treasures.
Boofy. So listen, we got to take, which by the way, you gave me that name, Big Delicious. I think someone else tried to take claim for it, but I know for a fact you gave me that name. So
well, I mean, we branded it. It's official.
Yes. So we're going to take a short break. After the break, we're going to have a quick segment, a new segment of a featured spotlight, a new cigar. And then we're going to have more with Boof in Boofville and see what's going on in the world of cigars and gin and try to get back to some kind of normal terrestrial plane here on the show. Stick with us. Keep it lit.
Well,
Surgeon General warning. Cigar smoking can cause lung cancer and heart disease. Currently available at your favorite cigar store, the Romeo y Julieta Reserva Real Nicaragua is another fantastic collaboration between AJ Fernandez and Rafael Nadal. Landing a #1 cigar of the year of 2020 by Cigar and Spirits magazine, the Reserva Real Nicaragua is handcrafted at Tabacalera A.J. Fernandez. This Nicaraguan Puro is a medium to full-body cigar that is packed to the brim with flavor notes of leather, coffee, and red pepper, which pairs nicely with a spiced rum. Available in 4 sizes, Romeo y Julieta returned to prestigious form with the Reserva Real Nicaragua that should be enjoyed by all. Surgeon General warning: cigar smoking can cause lung cancer and heart disease.
Oh, hey. Being a dad's not easy. Gotta enjoy the little things. Ever hear of a sippy cup? Yeah, that's not apple juice. That's Sunal. Bonner Private Wines. You know, our friends over at Bonner Private Wines have a really, really great deal for KMA listeners right now. All you have to do is go to KMAWines.com, check it out, and we will give you a discount on shipping and a discount on the 3-bottle package. In that package is Sunal. It's a wine from 8,950 feet in the air. It's one of the hardest vineyards to get wine from. The vines are under stress, the wine is delicious, and it'll get you through days like these. When you have lots of things to do and it feels like it will never end. So go to KMAWines.com and join the rest of us dads while we get our kids prepared for the day and just need that little extra kick. It's a Saturday. It's okay if we do day drinking. We're dads. We enjoy it. We're allowed to have some fun. Here you go, buddy. You have yours. I have mine. Cheers. KMA Wines. Oh, that's for Daddy. KMAWines.com. Check it out.
A lovely repeat by our man Paul. For a guy who's at home for the last year, it bothers me how little you get done.
I was kind of disappointed.
I'm working.
Whatever.
You know,
And I got a question. Why was there a Room 101 ad at the end of the Altus commercial?
Well, that's what we've been doing with the Spotlight feature. We'll show it.
No, we show it during the Spotlight feature, not during someone else's commercial. I tell you, dude. What?
I very much enjoy the fact that it was during their advertising.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
Yes.
But no, we showed that during the Spotlight feature, man.
Well, I suppose we're going to have to show it again.
That's what we did last week.
We
will show it again.
Last week.
You know, the interesting thing about that segment is, like, when it pans in, I mean, it really looks like Paul is, like, wrenching down on his hog. I mean, did you guys get that? And then you realize it's the leg of a child, and you're like, Jesus Christ, man, what am I doing in my life that I would think this? And then obviously he was muted for me, but I can see that he's talking, and then of course I lost all interest. But I mean, in the beginning, it was riveting. You see what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Oh dear God! Again, I will not stand for this deliciousness. Oh, I got to give a shout out. You have many long-time listeners and fans, as you rightfully should, my dear friend. But one of them outed himself that he was listening right now, and he's a longtime dear friend, although he will not be photographed in public with me due to certain business affiliations. But Joe Holtman, the cigar industry legend, is watching right now, and I wanted to give him a shout-out, because Daddy still loves you, okay? Miss you, okay?
That being said, let's go to our Spotlight feature segment that Paul already ruined. And this just so happens this week, the Spotlight feature is our current host. So let's run it. All right, so it just so happens not our host, but is our guest this week. The Spotlight feature this week is the brand new Payback in Connecticut. So tell us about this cigar, Matt. This is a segment that we do to spotlight new cigars out on the market. It's sponsored by Smoke Inn Cigars, and let's talk about what this new cigar is.
So it's we're revisiting one of the Clydesdales in our cigar stable, and this is a proper value premium offering from Room 101 Cigars, made proudly with the kids at Hoya in Esteli. You've got a beautiful Ecuador, Connecticut wrapper with a binder from Mexico and filler tobaccos from Nicaragua. It's spicy, nice, creamy, sultry. It's erotic, and it's at a price point that it's a cigar that's posture on the shelf is one that you cannot refuse. It's delightful.
What's the price point on it, Matt?
Right around $6 American dollars.
$6, and it comes in one Vitola?
No, 3. Oh, thank you for asking. Thank you for asking.
I'm here for you.
I appreciate that. It comes in a Robusto, if you are familiar. Also a Toro and a 60x6 for you people that want to put a hog leg in your mouth. Knock yourself out. Yeah, there you go.
Now, I do have to say I'm not a Connecticut fan, but this is actually a tasty Connecticut. It's not
too bad, right?
Yeah, it's not the typical bitterness I get off of Connecticut, and it's actually got good flavor. So, as a KMA special to all our fans out there, now you can show the ad, Paul.
Okay.
Ding, dong, dong. You can take an additional 15% off this weekend only as a KMA special at smokeinn.com. If you want to try this new cigar out from Matt Booth, the Payback Connecticut, just head over to smokeinn.com, and that code will get you additional 15% off this product through Sunday only. And there you have it.
Room 102.
Use code ROOM15. Room 15 is the code.
Now,
maybe next week you'll get it right, Paul.
The beauty of this is that we've been able to work with so many fantastic factories, man. I mean, we're literally making the best products that we've ever had our name on in this business right now. Hoya de Nicaragua, Hatsa, and my kinfolk at William Ventura, who make the most erotic of sweet sauces. Artisans.
Now, speaking of sweet sauces, did I read somewhere or hear somewhere that you have you announced at TPE that you got a new line coming out, Delta 8 cannabis?
Oh shit! Who have you been talking to?
People.
Oh my!
You let it slip in one of your interviews.
Creepers. Did I?
You did.
Matt Booth is working on many things. I very much love Spaceballs and specifically yogurt as a merchandiser. And it's Room 101, the toilet paper. I mean, we're going to get there. Yogurt, baby, I'm coming for you, okay? But the Delta 8 wellness product, as the kids like to call it now, which I think is a phenomenal moniker, a phenomenal flag to fly there, is going to see the light of day this year. And it's,
what is it?
So basically, it's a product that will help you relax your mind and set your soul ablaze with ecstasy.
Is it a CBD product? Is it a THC?
I don't think it's a CBD product, my friend.
No, it's
contains some CBD.
It doesn't sound like it now.
I mean, look, man, it's no. I mean, you must emancipate your palate with these different products that you incinerate and put ablaze into your pie shooter.
So far, it sounds like he's been pretty good at dodging my question.
It's so many words, but yet nothing said. Do you not know with whom you speak?
I know very well.
Look, man, it's gonna be a phenomenal addition to our lineup, and I look forward to actually enchanting you with this product myself.
So there we go. We found out very little about it.
It's going to be something other than else.
Happen.
Oh, it's going to happen.
When do you see this hit? Is this a long-term, faraway project, or will this be hitting stores soon?
It'll happen this year. It'll be realized in market this year. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Of course, they say what do they say? You can make your plans and fill up your calendar, and then you can literally have a goat shit in your other mitten and see which fills up first. Is that a saying? That's a saying, right? Is that correct?
It could be. If it's not, you just made it one.
So, you make plans and the universe laughs at you, right? So we'll see what happens. But, the plan is that this will be fully realized in market this year. Mm-hmm. And thanks for asking.
Well, hey, that's what we do. We like to be somewhat
You're
journalistic.
listening to people, things that you're doing. This is responsible journalism. You are the media. I like it. Unlike some of you other fucks. Oh,
Wow.
Sorry. You know who you are. Get at me.
So now we've talked about 2 future projects, right? Delta 8, Little Big Delicious. Anything else you'd like to share with our listeners?
Well, look, man, the reality is that this needs to be known, is that the rebirth of Namakubi will occur this year.
Someone was just asking that in our thing.
Yeah. The rebirth of Namakubi is real. And this actually, if I may actually be serious for a moment, and I'm more so challenging myself than asking, is that Namakubi has a very special place in my heart, because this was our third, dare I say, professional release. I mean, I don't want to throw that word around too loosely, but it was our third professional release. But I always say it was the first good cigar, and there were a lot of things going on, man. At that time, I was, achieving stability on my sea legs at a factory level. The road was at that point really beginning to hit the road for us as a brand in the U.S. market, and Namakubi was, basically the pin being pulled from the grenade. And now we get to relaunch it and hopefully rekindle some nostalgia, and give our most devout soldiers something to pleasurably shove in their mouth.
Now, where will that cigar be made now?
We're going to make the first edition, a limited, hyper limited drop with some very, very special charitable elements tethered to it, with William Ventura.
Oh, okay, good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that that's appropriate. Based on what they've done for me, what we've been able to accomplish together in terms of our product lineup that we make with them, I think it's appropriate. So we're going to make it with them.
The name? So I'm a study or a student of Japanese culture.
Mm-hmm.
I took Japanese for 2 years when I was in college.
I didn't know that.
Alex,
so
are you
Namakubi.
not constantly surprised by all this shit that Paul's specializes in and does that we've never seen a glimpse of in the 4 years we've known him?
I've never talked about taking Japanese for 4 semesters here.
They're all formerly too.
Right.
He lurks in the shadows.
Formerly a runner.
Never a glimpse.
Dude, what do I have to do? Prove to you? I guarantee you, I have some of my
hiragana
sketches.
I know you do. Go ahead. Finish Sensei-san, whatever they call it.
So, arigatou gozaimashita.
Yeah.
The Namakubi is like a severed head, right? It's traditionally a tattoo of a severed head, like the warrior. Explain where the name came from for you.
Namakubi is a bit of lore that came long before it was popularized by tattoo culture, because it looks mean, and crazy. There's actually a legendary tattooer in Japan named Horiyoshi III, and he has an entire series. He does not make swords. He makes tattoos.
Not related to that.
Does he make tattoos the old school way?
He does, and with machine. He adorns the bodies of many gentlemen of business from that gradation, and afar. And he has an entire series of Namakubi that he's painted, that are all of his wife's head. But the blood is actually his blood. I stopped asking questions. There have been several moments when I've been around him that I've just stopped asking. I'm not going any further here. Out of sheer respect and terror, which are simultaneously almost the same thing in many cases. But I will tell you that Namakubi, for me, the concept of Namakubi, which Paul, my little fuzzy wuzzy there, actually that's my pet name for Justin Andrews. I was just captivated by your beard for a second here. is that the literal translation means wet neck. Okay. And, Namakubi, I was introduced to the concept of Namakubi by my stepfather, who, for all intents and purposes, is a very old Japanese man trapped in the body of a white guy from New Jersey, from East Orange Way, rather. But a true story. And he has many books that he brought back from when he lived in Japan. And one of them was about, samurai culture, and actually had little drawings, sketches of how they would present the heads of their bested enemies to the heads of their clan, right? As an offering, right? How to label the head correctly. You've been about a Japanese restaurant, see the beautiful fake food in the window. Do we know what we're talking about? Like all the little sushi dishes. It's very similar.
Absolutely, yeah.
Just like you got, dog. And this was so this was in my mind from maybe 10, 12 years old. And actually, this has something to very much do with you, Big Delicious, is I was fatefully one afternoon at your Great Smoke event, Evolution, in the state of Florida, early on in my time in the business. And I came face to face with a gentleman who I love and adore, and at the time was becoming friends with one Mario Takayama. Do we know Mario? Do we remember?
Mario was a blogger with one of those bloggers early on. What was
That's correct. It was, first it was, I believe, Cigar Adventurer.
I don't know. There was like 14 guys. Mario was because I've been working with these media guys literally from day one. Mario was one of the first guys, early on in the day. But yeah, I don't think he's no longer doing any social media.
No, he went back to Japan. He moved back to Japan and took an executive job there. Like he left an executive position in Japan and moved to Columbus, Ohio, to pursue his truest of true passions, finding his way into the premium cigar business. And I remember asking him, I was like, "Yo, Mario, why would you go to Ohio, bro?" And he said,
literally,
because Christopher Columbus discovered tobacco in the Americas in 1492, and so I went to Columbus, Ohio. And that is a very, very Japanese way. I was like, this makes complete sense to me, like 100%. It's just it's how the brain works. It's their way, man, all day. And I was like, that's amazing. And then he found his way into our industry, and I to this day, am very friendly with him. But I remember being at your event, and I had already created the branding for Namakubi, and I wanted to port some of that Japanese vibe from our jewelry collection into our cigar collection. But I wasn't going to do like the Buddha cigar or something. It wasn't going to be like this. It had contrived nonsense. It was going to be something of core significance, right? And I knew that Namakubi would resonate, and or at least I felt it would. So I come face to face with Mario Takayama, and he's asking me what's going on. I said, Mario, I will release a new cigar this year. And he said, what will it be called? And I said, Mario, it will be called Namakubi. And his reaction was exactly what I was looking for. He said, oh, just like that. And I was like, fucking right. That's right, Namakubi. It was the exact reaction that I wanted from him. And so we made Namakubi. Wow. Because it's something that as it's been explained to me by people when I was visiting Japan, they told me, they said, we can tell this was made by an outsider, right? But it's made by an outsider that has a genuine interest and respect for essentially core components of our culture. And I think that that's a tremendous compliment. And it's valid. So I think that shows through. At least
that means everything in Japanese culture too. The respect aspect of it, that that's
I'm a
that's
huge fan.
compliment from them.
I'm a huge fan of everything they're serving up over there. I always have been, going over there in the service initially, and just falling in love with it and never looking back. It changed my life.
While we're still on cigars, before we get into Jen and our
Yes.
the spin segment,
And Delta 8 and Joe Holtman.
I need to ask you a question about one of our things about the Room 101 BDE.
Oh, the BDE.
Yeah,
Yes,
what is
BDE? Well, it's Big Dick Energy, Doug.
Obviously.
And I have proposed to a dear friend of mine, Lars Titans, rather, because I'm a huge fan of the SCP. I don't know if we know this, Stone Cold Pimpin' from years ago. I always liked the name of that cigar because I thought it was beautifully ridiculous in so many ways, and he shortened it, and initialized it. Paul, is that even a thing? Initializing.
Made an acronym.
Right. There you go. So I said, we should run a collaboration called the BDE. Obviously, in honor of several of my dear friends in the business, one Abe Froman from Phoenix, and some other cats, Matt Freaks and all that. A lot of people are throwing around that BDE, man, and it's potent. So I think we need to, capture that energy.
The Sausage King of Illinois.
He's the Lancero King of Phoenix.
No,
there's something.
Is that H-Town?
Oh no, he's the Lance. Well, that's my one of my greatest friends, Jorge from Stogies. He is the Lancero King of Houston, rather. Which, by the way, brings me to another point that I think is less than addressed. Is there anyone from Houston actually watching this right now? Because if you are, what in the holy fuck is going on with those fucking wheels? You know what I'm talking about? The faux. Have we seen these things? The wires that come like cones out of the side of the. Have we seen this?
I have no idea what he's talking about.
You're talking about on the cars with the poles coming out of the cars?
Yeah, I've been with them more than most, but you lost me now.
This is the most horrid thing I think I've ever seen done to a vehicle other than the creation of the Pontiac Aztec. In fact, you should take those wheels and put them on a Pontiac Aztec and then drive the shit off a cliff is what you should do.
What are these wheels?
Fofos,
I'll show you. I'm
in
downloading
Houston
one.
Is the only place that they run these things on their cars. Thank God it's been contained.
I've seen
Thank God it's been contained. It's like a virus.
Fellas, seriously. Like, I'm from Los Angeles. We run proper Dayton wires on vehicles as it should be done. Okay, if you're going to do a wire wheel or, a Chinese knockoff of the Dayton. Oh, God. Dear God. That's it. That's it.
Oh, they're like ancient Egyptian chariots. That's for knocking the legs off your foes.
What
you know
is
what?
that?
Right.
It's a chariot, and that
it's a chariot thing, bro.
So you charge into the infantry, and that'll cut the legs off of your foes. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, you know what, man? You just totally changed my life. These are warriors. They're warriors, bro.
It's like Ben-Hur.
Delete what I just said. You guys are good in my book.
Chariots.
Don't let the shit get out of Houston.
It's a Ben-Hur chariot wheel. It's exactly what it is.
Let's continue to keep that contained, as a regional style, but they're warriors. Let's just go for that.
Okay.
I'll meet you there.
All right. Before we get into some gin, let's take a moment for our Avo sponsorship and pose Matt Booth with the weekly question from Eddie Guerra as the record turns. Sure. All right, Matt, I have a question posed for you from Eddie Guerra. Now, I have to say this is probably the perfect question for you because it uses the word unconventional. So, what is something that you enjoy pairing cigars with, but is unconventional?
Having my dick sucked from the back. No? Is that too much? I want to give a shout out to Eddie Guerra because I happen to very much favor him. But, this ain't Twitter, bro. You can't silence me. This is the free media. Can you not imagine having a very pleasant Avo cigar offered to you by gentleman of leisure himself, Eddie Guerra, and then just getting it taken down from the backside? I mean, can you not see how that could be pleasant? Should I answer in a different way? Should I give a different answer? Wait, what was the question again? What was the question? Ask me one more time. I'll do something better.
Paul, you're muted, and I mean,
what is something that you pair with cigars
I don't
that
even
considered unconventional? Is the question.
Were you were you just like, forget it, it's over, like it's done?
I mean, why? I mean, I'm just let's that there's that's
just
the
leave
answer.
it there. I mean,
leave it there. Why water it down? Why water it down?
Have I? I'm so sorry. Have I done bad? Have I done wrong, Delicious?
No.
I
bro.
don't want to disappoint you. I want to provide.
Never.
I want to provide an honest experience for you, your crew, and your viewers.
Yep.
That's right, Marshall.
I don't even know how to segue this into the next another part of the show.
Just visual for a second, though. Beautiful Avo limited edition, right? Just think about it. Just picture it. Let it sear into the soft matter.
This could be a good time to bring Coop on.
I mean, I should become highly flirtatious with Coop.
Yeah, let's bring Coop on.
All right, let's bring.
Hey, yo, what's my theme music?
The Scoop with Coop. Breaking industry news. Hear it first on KMA Talk Radio and cigar-coop.com.
So Coop today joins us from a different location. Coop is actually in Christian Aroa's office in Miami, right, Coop?
Justo Aroa's office.
Oh, I'm sorry, Justo Aroa's office.
Yep. Yes, I am, and I'm.
You mean he knows? He knows there's a KMA episode going on right now, and he's still been texting me all morning.
Who?
Justo. He's been texting me all morning. I haven't been able to respond because I'm doing the show.
Yeah.
But tell him I will respond.
He said it will respond to you.
Look at
he's
how
guilty of it. Yeah. Oh, he knew it.
Coop's very
just like filleting the hog out there for the world. Look at him. Good God. I mean, Coop throws the dick like a savage, man. I mean, you know that. You can tell just from the way. The dude's got swag.
Oh, that had to be the Avo question. Just took a whole new meaning.
You must have not heard what he said about you in the last 15 seconds.
I must have, because I'm afraid to know.
No, he's trying to talk it out of having happened. He's been
talking about your dick swagger for the last 10 seconds, Coop.
I mean, if you want to talk about the physical embodiment of BDE, I mean, you're looking at it. Look at that.
Yeah.
Good God, look at that specimen.
This show has officially gone off the rails.
I mean, he puts his hand
Are you
on
surprised?
His back and throws it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could see him just. He has
The
to
fact
brace
that I
himself.
thought bringing Coop on would tone it down, and it had the exact opposite effect.
That is a bad sign, right?
Coop is an active agent. I mean, he activates me. You know, I can't help myself.
No. Have you heard, Matt, of the impersonator of you that's going around right now?
You know. Oh, wait a second. I heard rumblings of this.
Yeah.
Go for it, Cooper. Tell me what's going on.
So there's another Matthew who.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you, if I hear his voice, he's spot on for you, and that's Matthew Tobacco.
That ain't his government name.
No, that's his real name.
Actually,
he does a spot on. I thought it was. I mean, if he had longer hair, I would think it was you.
All right, I'm gonna send him the link, Paul. I got to see this now.
I told Paul that. Yeah,
I'm marginally interested.
Do you
Marjorie.
need it, Abe, or you have it?
I'm actually very interested.
Can you message me the link so I can just put it in Messenger?
Yeah, I'll do it right now. Yep. Oh man.
Coop, you want to like?
Coop mentioned this to me. We spoke about it briefly, but the fact that and it is his real name, right, Abe? It's not Matt's name is not spelled the same
It's
as
spelled with an A.
traditional.
No, that's his real name.
It's his real name. It's his real name.
Yeah, it's TAB instead of TOB.
Yeah. No, it was
Coop, how am I doing on the show?
We may have to.
I've been very nervous. I as you know, I don't do well speaking in front of audiences sometimes. Yes,
No, you're
Coop
doing
is
fine.
my
You're doing
Delta
fine.
8, which is a fantastic product that you will see realized in market before the end of the year.
Delta 8 was the story of TPE outside of cigars. Delta 8 was the big story.
Well, maybe you could tell us something about it because Matt Booth sure.
Yeah,
did.
because we don't know what it is. Is it THC?
Nobody
Like,
knows.
It's a
Nobody
THC
cares.
derivative, from what I understand. It's a THC derivative that right now I think is because of it float. Basically, it's kind of legal now, but they know it's going to be illegal at some point. So,
It's
a lot of these
legal
manufacturers are taking advantage of
what
it.
it is.
Yeah,
If you wanted me
but
to
it's a
distill it.
derivative of THC.
I thought the power of mystery would be provocative, but since we're just going to pull our zebra miniskirts up and show our Thai ladyboy wieners to the world, it's legal weed. So
Mystery
get it while you
can't
can.
be out there if you tell people about it, Matt.
What's that?
Mystery can't be out there if you're going to tell people about it. Coop is a journalist, man. He gets to the bottom of the stories.
I like what Coop
You're
does
free.
as well. Coop is a legitimate journalist, and I share many things with him. I have given him many stories first, just solely out of respect for the man and the hog simultaneously. Yes, absolutely. Coop, go ahead.
Yes.
You were going to say something. I don't want to interrupt you.
No, I was going to say it was really good to hear about Little Big Delicious on this show today, as opposed to me reading about it on one of my competitors.
Wow,
Coop, why don't you come over here?
That was a dig.
No, I just said.
Why don't you come over here and let me make you a Portuguese breakfast? How about that?
I don't even want to look it up in the Urban Dictionary what the hell a Portuguese breakfast is. Don't even want to know.
Cooper,
you don't want to know.
I'm sure it's anything but breakfast.
I mean, you could eat
We're
it.
not. Let's not go.
Coop don't even know how to tell the news anymore. You've stifled him.
Cooper, you tried to troll down a treacherous path. He tried to engage me right now, and I have to let him know that I love him dearly, and he is one of, I mean, like you, one of my longest held friendships in this business. I mean, from the beginning. Look at that, Coop, big payback. Shove it in your mouth.
This is really, really smoking good, and for Connecticut, I'm extremely enjoying it, which I'm normally not a big Connecticut guy. So
my man,
I wouldn't have said it unless I meant it. So it's actually a very good smoke.
Honest statement. Yeah. It's mouth. We serve up pipe delights all day long. Fitness for your taste socket, sir.
I think we have to. I think we have to delete these comments.
What? Oh, are people getting provocative?
They can look it up themselves, gentlemen.
I have the. Would you like me to read the technical?
No, they can look it up. No,
no, man.
Let it be a mystery.
The power of mystery abounds. Why are we?
I deleted some of the Portuguese breakfast comments.
The fact that you even know what that is mind-boggling.
Look,
I agree. I thought I knew a lot of weird things. That's just Well, actually, let me just put this out there.
There you go. There you go.
You know what? I'm going to go on Coop's show because he doesn't censor me. Okay.
We're not censoring you. We're just protecting ourselves.
Let me tell you.
Saturday morning show.
It's family programming.
Hey, how am I doing?
But no.
Paul, am I doing okay?
You're doing wonderful. I knew that any show prep I would do would be meaningless, so he made my job real easy.
Oh, as if the show prep is
exactly. That's why I wanted you. But okay, Abe. Here's the thing. Matt and I do go back a long way. When Cigar Coop started, when I was at my first trade show, in all seriousness, Matt was one of the first guys to kind of reach out and and we've become friends ever since. So I'm always grateful for that as far as what I've started, because Matt was, I'd say, in that there were about 2 or 3 people from that first trade show that were very kind to me, and I'll never forget it. And Matt was one of them.
Well, I can't help myself. I like to be nice. I think positivity begets positivity.
Yeah.
And I myself
So
was coming into the game as well.
And I like to think we kind of, our journeys have kind of paralleled each other.
Mhm.
And we've had some bumps along the way, some changes along the way. In fact, it was kind of interesting. 2017, I made some big changes on what I was doing with Coop, and you made some big changes in terms of what you were doing. So there's
It's
been
true.
a lot of parallels with that.
Well, the
in
big
all
question
seriousness.
is then, did you know what a Portuguese breakfast was?
I had an idea what it was. I mean,
That's
I'm not going to.
scary.
Yeah.
I mean, Coop, just come spend the weekend, bro. I'll spin you up. Don't worry. I'll give you a tutorial.
All right.
Okay,
Coop,
so yeah.
what's in the news this week?
Yeah, I'm looking at Coop a whole different way now.
So, we're getting into PCA trade show season. I mean, you're starting to see companies now announce the trade show exclusives. So a couple have come out this week. Alec Bradley is going to be releasing a show exclusive. It's going to be a line extension of their Magic Toast line. It's going to be in the form of a box press Grand Toro. So that's the first box press they've done on the Magic Toast line. And Illusione Cigars, I saw, has now announced that they are going to be... They've kind of already floated this cigar out to one retailer in Idaho, but they have a Candela version of their CG4, and that's going to be offered as a trade show exclusive too. So you're starting to see these trade show exclusives start to come out. I kind of wonder if PCA may have missed the boat a little with these, because I'm seeing a lot of line extensions, and I think if they had put some higher, raise the bar in terms of the criteria, and maybe say this is what you need to do to have a trade show exclusive, maybe they would have had more than just line extensions.
I know the problem they ran into, and I don't really know. It's just theoretical, but I think they waited too long. This is something they needed to get on like a year and a half ago, because for a lot of these guys, last year wasn't the year to start developing new.
I think that's a fair point. Obviously there was some uncertainty. When we were in February, March.
I'm agreeing with you. A line extension is not exclusive. No one gives a shit about a line extension.
Yeah.
I could care less if I have the 6th iteration of a blend I already have in my store as a shop exclusive, as a PCA exclusive. You're 100% on point on that. But once again, I just think it probably most likely came down to poor advanced planning, and then trying. See, I'm from the school, and Alex could testify. I'd rather not do something than rush something wrong. Because when you put it out there wrong, you make it twice as hard when you get it right. So I just rather not do it. But I think they were desperate to do something for this show, and that was the best that some of the manufacturers could have come up with. But I would have just held off this year to people who would only have made lines available for the PCA, and that's, sometimes you got to take a little less in the beginning for the better, greater good in the long haul.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened there.
Abe, I think your point's spot on with that. I think that's 100%. I mean, I know Rocky's putting the Rocky Patel 60 as a PCA exclusive, but that one, that may be, I think there's a little more of a limited production with that, so you can get away with it. But there are some others, I think, that are going to be announced. I think, my father's going to announce theirs, I think, at the trade show. Pete Johnson's got some. Ace Prime's got. We've crowned.
See, here's the mentality of a guy. Here's the mentality of a guy who's just an old dog in the business. No one, Casey Aldemani, no one cares about a line extension, Casey. It's like it's like getting sweet and sour chicken in a Chinese restaurant. It's the least exciting thing in the cigar industry.
They could give a line extension as a shop exclusive. I mean, that's my point.
It's like literally the least exciting thing on a national level.
It is, unless you're going to do something very unique with it. But I agree. In fact, like I said, this Illusione one's already been released to a store in Idaho, so that's already been out. It's not like it's not something that's new. The Alec Bradley thing, okay, at least it's something that's new as a line extension. But same thing with the PCA Hub. I've seen a lot of cigars out there that really aren't new. So, but I think I could give the defend PCA. They're just getting into this right now. So let's see how before we kind of shoot them.
You're much nicer than me, Paul. Will. You're much nicer because they're not just getting into this. This is something that should have been immediately worked on the moment a press release came out naming 4 major manufacturers that were pulling out.
Well, yeah, and
that was 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it was 2 years ago, and then the pandemic hits, and I agree that they could have done some planning with that. That's a fair point. But okay, pandemic, their staff was cut and stuff like that. I'm sure they had to do other things around the office right now. But
I have a question just related to the topic. Is the Padron Fuente thing still going for? Wasn't that supposed to be PCA or?
Well,
I haven't seen anything.
Okay, here's what I'm going to say, and this is I got to be careful how I say this. I have not heard anything that Padron Fuente are not going to be doing something at the trade show. But what I can tell you is I got a communication from the PCA about the companies doing the PCA exclusives, and Padron and Fuente were no longer listed on those companies. So I don't know what that means right now.
In their defense, and I love both companies, they are both notoriously not the quickest to move on projects such as these. I've seen Fuente announce shit that didn't come out for 2 years later. Partially a testament to, once again, I'd rather not do something than do it wrong or not right and just wait.
Yeah.
So that also could be why it's not available this year. It may not be nowhere close to being ready to release.
They never promised it was going to be ready for the show either. So
no, they didn't.
To defend them, they announced they were doing this, and I think a lot of us assumed it was going to be the trade show, but they never promised that either.
Yeah, when we had Carlito on, I don't think he specifically said it was for the trade show.
He said the same thing.
If we look back at it,
yeah.
He talked about it, and we talked extensively about it, but I don't think he actually said when it was going to be released and available.
Here's a perfect question, right? So if that cigar was made with some legitimate availability and was a PCA only cigar, how many retailers do you think would literally go to a show to make sure they got that cigar?
I don't know,
man. It would be, I think.
Would you?
That would be something that would, there would be some people who would actually, I think, go to the show for that.
Fuck yeah. I mean,
I'm not going to go for.
I wouldn't, but part of the equation is, look, I wouldn't if they're going to say, well, we can get you 5 boxes. No, that's not even worth me going to the airport here, the drive to the Palm Beach International Airport.
Right.
So, look, just to give you an example, the TAA has had this absurd rule for many years that you have to go to the show. So you're allowed 1 off year. So literally every other year I would send somebody from my company because I really don't need to go. I do more purchasing sitting here than some of the people who are actually physically there, right? So what's the need for me to lug up my wife, go down, leave my kids for 5 days? And there's really never been a reason. But I used to go because the Pete Johnson TAA cigar was always a highly sought after cigar. Mm-hmm. And literally if we ordered 300 or 400 boxes, we would get them. That made me worth sending somebody every year or every other year at the very least to go to the show to place the order just for that product. So yeah, if the product is right and it's not something, it makes it worth a retailer going there, then yeah, I think retailers would go more.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with you. Abe, I think, it's interesting. Everyone was talking about TPE last week, right? And I understand they did good. The question is TPE going to be anything more than a buying show as well? And that I'm wondering if if it's not, then it's going to have the same problems that PCA's had. Because I've already been told from a lot of retailers, TPE deals were offered all over the place. People who didn't go to that show. So I'm wondering if they're going to have the same problem in a couple years.
TPE won't have the same problem. I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
Because it's just a matter of numbers. So look how many C stores and B stores and convenience stores, which all flock to the TPE, and you have a much smaller group when you're looking at premium cigar companies. I mean, there are probably more TPE people in New York than there are premium cigar retailers in the whole country.
Yeah, that's true. That part's yeah.
So you're always going to have people there, and it's always been just a buying show, but that's the mentality. But when you only have 2,000 to 3,000 maybe premium cigar guys, and then not even all of them are really have the wherewithal to go to a Vegas trade show annually, it becomes more concise, and you have to become more using a scalpel to try to market to that community than you do when you have such a big number.
Yeah.
But I think TPE was also they said it was a lot of traffic. It was the first time people got out in almost a year. Right. So I think people were to get out and do something.
I saw an interview with Robert, Matt, and he's like, we didn't really know what the result would be from here, whether or not people would show up. But I personally needed to get out of the house and go to one of these. He's like, we wanted to be surrounded by our people again. So I think what Abe is saying is correct. Like, people just wanted to get out and go to an event, feel normal again, and get back to the camaraderie in the industry, I think.
Yeah, there was a decent amount of escapism occurring there, and it was probably the cheap currency on the show floor.
I mean, we're looking at, even our team was going out there for PCA. I mean, part of it, we just want to get the Coop team together. But, we're going to cover it, but there's a part of it, we all really wanted to get together this year as well. A lot of guys in the media haven't seen each other in almost 2 years, so it's a little bit of that on our end too.
In response to Jay Davis, it doesn't have to be rare. It's just got to be good. Everybody always thinks that if someone made a special cigar, it's got to be this uber rare stuff. It doesn't have to be rare. They have the perfect capability of making something special and unique and good that they make like their regular production line. So the possibility is there.
Look at the TAA is a great example, okay? A lot of those TAA cigars, I'm going to just say, they're not good, okay? There's a select few of them that are good and fit the other categories. But no, a lot of those TAA cigars are not good. I'm just going to be very straight on that.
Well, that's just something you have to be careful, even if the PCA starts doing. If it becomes something that just everybody does, whatever, then there goes the effectiveness. Look, it's just like I compare it a lot of things in life to a good bonsai plant, right? You got to keep the hedges trimmed and keep the growth in control, and you get a better overall plant. And I think it's one of the things that the PCA hasn't done, right? It's grown out of control, because I don't care if you keep the same attendance for 20 years, but if the footprint of the show grows 10 times, well, guess what? The show is going to look empty every year. There has to be a controlled growth, and I think that's what ruined the TAA cigars. It was really like one company to start, two companies. Now there's 20 TAA releases. Who cares about it anymore? That's what's happening.
Exactly. It's exactly what happened. They diluted it.
You spoke about trimming the hedges. I was waiting for Matt to chime in.
I think he went to go trim his hedge.
No. I literally
careful. You guys are opening that door yourself.
Yeah, we don't know which hedge he's trimming, so careful.
You guys are opening that door yourself.
What else you got going on, Coop?
Yeah, go ahead.
Another piece of information. We've been talking a lot about Mombacho cigars and some of the changes going on, and we talked about last month's Jesse Flores, who used to be with Drew State, going there. That has ended. Jesse Flores has now departed Mombacho Cigars.
That could be the quickest job I've seen to date in the history of the cigar industry.
How long was it? A month?
Oh no, they're
a month
shorter, bro.
I'm just saying that I've seen. I'm sure there may have been shorter, but I've never seen one that quick with a press release before the ink on the paper. The relationship was over.
Well,
yeah, literally.
Well, the thing that was interesting about when they announced that, it was Jesse did a video announcing he was joining Mombacho. Mombacho put it on their webpage, but you never heard a comment from Mombacho exactly how they were going to use Jesse. And then now you hear there were creative differences. So I'm like, well, that was just, whenever I hear someone announce their own job, it's a red flag to me. That's, I just think, I don't know. It just, to me, I wasn't surprised when it happened.
Speak on it, Cooper.
And I'm sorry, I keep interrupting your stories, but I want to comment on this house guest. I love when people are house guests and don't say who they are, though. That does look like Michael Caldwell. Michael, no one said there weren't good TA releases, but Coop will probably agree with me. Only probably 3 or 4 over the history of the TA, maybe 5 tops, have been really worthwhile. Padron was definitely one of them, but the rest have all just been like, who knows, who cares? They came, they went, nobody bought them.
Obviously, Pete's done a really good job. Crown Heads and LaFleur, I think, are the ones that have stood out.
There's been a couple. There's been a couple winners, but when you talk about a couple winners, when you're releasing 20 a year,
I saw one retailer clearing out a TAA cigar at 60% off. 60% off. I mean, so and it was a prolific brand. It wasn't like a small brand. It was a big brand. It just tells me I just think they're very overrated. There are some good ones, but a lot of them have been highly overrated because they've always been positioned to me as best cigars by the best manufacturers for the best retailers. So it was this elite thing is how it was positioned to me as, and they don't live up to that in general.
Once again, it comes to not doing something right. I mean, we've been in business 25 years, and we only started 10 years ago. I think we only have 14 or 15 micro blends. I can release a micro blend every month, but I just don't want to make a micro blend every month. I really want to put in the work to try to make something unique and that will stand out, and that's how we attack every micro blend project that we do. Otherwise, no one would care when we made one. If we had one every month, and especially if half of them really weren't that spectacular, no one would care when we released a micro blend. So it's the same philosophy.
Yeah. And Abe, I gotta say, with the Connoisseur Club, I like the approach you're taking with that, because you put a framework in place that basically tells these guys, put your best foot forward, because otherwise you're going to be called out on it.
Well, I mean,
I think that's
put your best foot forward. Some of them are experimenting. Some of them, a lot of these guys. Look, I talk with all these manufacturers. They're afraid to take chances in the real market because they care about their brand and what they build. This gives them an avenue now to actually even get a little more creative and to try things they normally might be a little too reserved to try and get some legitimate feedback. Sometimes it's a winner, sometimes it's not. But it's a lot easier to find out in a test group of a few hundred people than to put it out there in the market and realize something,
But you don't think the TA could do the same thing? If you think about that, like put the same thing in, have these blends come in and rate them, and then the ones that come out the best. Yeah,
you have to remember, there's a difference when you're talking about a team like ours, where this is what we do all day and this is our livelihood.
Yeah.
And the TAA or the PCA, where they're volunteers and they all have their own shtick, and who's really running it at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's true.
These organizations are run with the path of least resistance. That's the problem.
Yep. Trilateral convention.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I called that a long time ago, that they should just merge them all and make one big doohickey.
I'm down with that.
I'm not making a bet with you on that, by the way, because
I just said it. I mean, I just think it would be the thing if they could find a way to make it work.
Yep.
That's very complicated, but if they could find a way to make it work, I think it would be cool. So you got Flores high and by. That's gone. Mombacho now, God rest him, now he's become a miracle worker. He wants to consult cigar companies, which, some of them Jesus can't help. Good luck, my friend. That's Claudio. What else you got going on, Coop?
Last thing is, it was an interesting thing. This came out of TPE. Placencia Cigars has announced they're going to be implementing a smart chip technology in their cigar bands. And basically what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to take your phone, hold it up to the cigar, and it's kind of going to work. It's not a QR code, but it's going to work like a QR code where it brings up a website and it's going to give you some information about the cigar or some photos and things like that. So they're going to be implementing it on their Almafuerte Claro right now, just on one line. But kind of an interesting thing I thought that came out. We haven't seen anything like that in the cigars before.
No, there was something like that. Somebody had an app or a software, I'm going to say about 5 years ago, where you could scan the cigar band in the humidor and it would pull up some database or history. It wasn't any company specific.
Yeah, like you said, you'd have to scan it. This one literally just hold your phone up. It's kind of like you don't have to worry about even doing anything.
You don't got to raise your hand, Alex. Just start talking.
Well, it's unrelated, but I want to break some news real quick. I don't know what he did, but I know he was engaged in the beginning of the show, and there were some talks, and now.
Oh, no, I got that. I didn't put it out there.
Happy trails, Ronnie Haysha. We'll see you in 30 days.
Oh, he's blocked?
Yeah.
It's probably because I posted what a Portuguese breakfast was.
Oh, sorry.
By the way, who says you can owe a dollar?
Whoever we deleted those definitions, you should thank us later.
Yeah.
But yeah, he said if you kept your guests on track, I would have not lost another 30K this month. I'm taking the month off.
By the way, who still says you're going to owe him a dollar?
Who said that?
Husto.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Why am I going to owe him a dollar?
He got everything you need, he said, in today.
There was no bet. People now making up their own bets.
He said you're making up the bet.
They're making up their own bets. So it's okay. Matthew on. Get him in. Let's see this impersonation, Paul. What are you waiting for? An invitation?
All right.
Okay.
We have a very special guest on. I think he's proclaiming to be the real Matt Booth. Actually, it's the real Matt Booth here.
I mean, I don't proclaim to be anybody. I'm me, man. Cooper, how are you today, my flower?
Matthew?
It's good to see you. How's sunny Florida?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Coop, let me ask you something. Have you ever really smelled calamine lotion? I mean, really smelled it?
The pink from it, man, just gives a fragrance, you know?
Indeed, it does. Today, I'm smoking one of my favorite creations. The Room 101 11th anniversary. It reminds me of our salad days. Coop, we've had this conversation. Yeah.
We've talked about our salad days. We have.
Coop, tell me about your salad days.
Well, you know, my salad days go back to Matt Booth. I mean, when we started this thing, we were just talking about that earlier. Oh, you, I should say. You. I mean, what am I saying? You're on Matt Booth.
Indeed, I am.
We should block out their boxes and see if people can guess who the real Matt Booth is.
Oh, there's no guessing.
Did I tell you that was good? It was really good.
Well, I'm gonna tell you
This is an affront.
He's got the voice. He's got the voice and the dichotomy down pat. Now you just got to work on a little facial features. You got to do a little more squinting when he talks. You know, Matt Booth's got that squint and smirk down. You get that a little in there.
The upside down frown.
Yes. You get a little bit of that in there.
And what a fine cotton garment that is gracing your carcass right now.
I thought that you would
Tobacco, if that is your real name.
Well, that is my government name. But this is a nice garment that I enjoy to wear. It's colorful and bright, but not too wild.
Oh, he's got the dichotomy down. See, if you stay on KMA, you just never know who's going to come on the show. But this is Matt Tobacco from Smoke Inn Tobacco. Thank you for joining us. And
good job, man.
Excellent impersonation of Goofy.
Can I just say something, Abe? Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me on. I've actually never done that for the person. So a lot of people who know me, like from work, like I do people at work, and they're like, "Holy shit, that sounds just like that guy," or like I do it for like family, friends, whatever. But I've never really done it for the person until now. So I have to admit, doing it for the first time live on KMA is quite the place to do that for the first time. So I'm not, and it's Matt Booth of all people. You know, I could have done Coop, no problem.
Hold on. We have to
see it. Let's do.
Oh
Coop.
no, I don't do a Coop. I really don't do a Coop. It's just as an example. But because it's Matt Booth of all people, you know, it's you know, I could go either way with him. You know, you don't know.
Oh, you could go either way. That's for sure.
Cooper, I had spoken to you yesterday. You asked me if I'd be at PCA. Actually, no. It was someone from another media outlet. You know who you are. I'd like for you to do an interview of me when we go to PCA. Private. Very intimate. And my hotel suite in a bubble bath. And I will require you to feed me what the Australians call lollies. You may know them as gummies. It really enhances the experience. And I'll answer any questions that you may have.
This is
well
hilarious.
done.
Dude,
how does it
I look
feel
forward to
Matt,
seeing you in my suite.
how does it feel to now listen to what you sound like to other people?
I mean, it's horrifying.
That's what makes us special.
This is classic.
Riveting.
Matthew's
The
the politically correct Matt Booth though, so we could have him on and not have to put the parental advisory up.
Oh no!
Comments.
Oh no, that's not true. It's not true. You know, I was on another podcast. I believe it was the Smoke and Tobacco Show with Cooper, and I had let it be known that he can throw the dick around like Hercules. One hand
That's correct.
on the back of the head, thrusting into eternity from atop. It's very, very riveting.
Oh man.
Woo!
That is all. Again, what were you guys? What were we talking about? I'm sorry.
Matthew, thank you. Guys, if you haven't yet, check out Smoke Inn Tobacco.
Yeah.
Matthew Tobacco, thank you for joining us on KMA Talk Radio, man.
You got
Say
it.
hi,
Thanks, guys.
Nicole.
I will. I'll say hi.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, man.
And there
Wow.
you have it.
You know what I was thinking during that? Could you imagine Lars Tetons and Matt Booth in the same room?
They just did a show together.
Oh, I have
It's
not
true.
seen it. I have to watch it. My
true.
mind is reeling thinking about it.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting
man.
one. Lars Tetons was actually my introduction to KMA. That was my
That was
first
your first show.
And you came back.
And I was unavailable.
And I made
that
it. Yeah,
You were at Disney that week?
probably.
Probably.
No,
That might have
I
been
don't know.
Or a
Danny
wedding.
Or
Or a
we
wedding.
don't know.
A wedding or Disney. or
Wedding, a
baby shower.
bachelorette party. Who the hell knows?
Daddy daycare.
Seriously.
All right. With that said, we have to move on to our next segment. We have a very quick announcement, right, Alex, for
Yes.
your little segment?
Yes.
All right. So let's go into Tale of the Tape.
Before they break
All
into
right. So
it, Paul,
Alex,
before they
oh,
break
go ahead.
into it, Paul, do you have the graphic from last week in case people missed it? Let's show everybody. Well, I don't think the graphic has the number one on it. I didn't
No,
think
it
we had it last week, but this was
I don't
their
think I
top
have it
10
anymore.
Oscars of all time that they did for season 1 of Tale of the Tape. And
I don't have it.
He deleted it.
oh, nice. Well,
That's okay. So anyway, we don't need the clock. We don't need the clock.
no.
So Tale of the Tape season 1 has just ended last week, where we did our countdown of the top 10 greatest boxers of all time. For Tale of the Tape season 2, Coop and I are going to be taking on the greatest professional wrestlers of all time. I don't know about Coop, but for me, this is going to be a little more of a personal list. It's going to be a little more personal preference. I'm going to be looking at, style and character and some of the wrestlers that I enjoyed, rather than taking it on from a more technical perspective.
Can you even do a technical one on this? I mean, is there really?
I mean, I guess you
technicality?
could.
Can a little.
You can, but I'm going more for, style and preference. Like if I did a preference top 10 boxers list, it would have looked very different than my top 10 greatest of all time list. That was a more technical list for me. This one should be fun. Coop, how are you attacking this list?
It's going to be a combination of both things. The idea of a champion in wrestling is different than a champion in boxing.
Sure.
Because a champion in wrestling, it doesn't necessarily have to do with all the technical ability of that. I think what the difference is I think this list is going to be, like, we were very similar at the top of our list. I think
Right.
this list is going to be very different.
I agree.
I come from probably a generation before you with the wrestlers.
Sure.
So even back in that generation, it was still very regionalized. And I think now it's more international. But back when I started watching, there was like Northeast champions, Southeast champions. There were many different organizations.
Right.
You had the territory thing. So I think it's going to be very interesting. But I do have a mix of some newer ones in there too. Because I've been working on this list. We've talked about for about 3 or 4 weeks behind the
Right.
scenes. So I've already worked on this list. We may still have a couple at the top, though. I think there will still have a couple at the top.
Sure, I'm sure we will.
This
Yeah,
should
so I'm
be-
excited about this. This is gonna be great. This is gonna be really good.
This should be interesting.
Listen, if Mick Foley or Randy Macho Man Savage doesn't make it to either one of your lists, I'm going to be so upset.
Honestly, I don't know how you're going to go with 10. I mean, there's Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Andre Giant. I mean, and I don't know. Are you going old school? Are you limiting this to an era? Is this all time?
All time.
All time.
That makes it even harder.
So Derek
My
Dukes
era is
could be
probably
on
gonna
that
be
list,
different
too.
than Alex's.
Right.
Yeah.
You got the old
Yeah,
school,
my-
the Iranian Sheik and
But you listen, you never know, because look, in fairness,
Iron Sheik. That's
in
right.
fairness, I think
The Iron Sheik.
my list had more guys from the 30s and 40s than yours as far as boxers go. So you never know. These lists could
Yeah,
be
it's
all over
true.
the place.
It's true. It's true. And Alex and I have not talked about what's on these lists. We're going into these kind of cold each week.
We never
and
do.
I think it's going to be, we never do. Although we knew towards the end how our boxing list was going to go.
Yeah, that was just process of elimination at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it'd be cool if you guys get some images that you could put up while you're doing your thing of each of the guys.
Yeah.
We can do that. We
Yeah.
can do that.
Yep.
So that should be fun. Matt Booth
Cool.
is like, what the fuck are they talking about? He's been
Listen, I'm sure, I am absolutely positive that Matt Booth could come up with a top 10 list of greatest boxers based on best man panties. I mean, greatest wrestlers.
Or wrestlers wearing tights.
Yeah, man, panties and tights. I mean,
yeah, I judge many athletes by the tightness of their garb.
Right. See, we're not far off.
No,
Good to know.
That's true. That's true.
A perfect segue to see who this week belongs in a cigar insane asylum.
Oh.
Welcome to the Cigar Asylum,
Did you know I'm utterly insane?
We all go a little mad sometimes.
where logic and reason cease to exist.
I don't know, Paul, if you caught that soundbite, but Matt got a "oh" in right after I announced.
I heard that. I heard.
We should grab that.
I heard it.
We should grab
And
that
listen,
soundbite.
in fairness, with all due respect, I don't know what you're about to read, but I don't know that it could top just this entire episode is this week's entry into the insane asylum.
Yeah, really. Really.
Paul, there's no way. I mean, even on a normal week, it barely does that. With Paul grabbing. So. Let's. Oh yeah.
Last week was pretty good.
This is lame. Okay. This week, what he got what he was owed. I used the word lame, and Matt Booth laughed. So I mean,
great teaser,
right? But it has a slight twist. Andreas Fladden of Georgia quit his job as an auto mechanic shop in November, and when he left, there was still a matter of pay he was owed, $915 to be exact, according to Mr. Fladden. After numerous alleged attempts, Fladden got his payment in the form of 90,000 oil and grease-covered pennies dumped at the edge of his driveway with his final pay slip on top. This is a true story. The owner of the shop that Fladden quit, his man's name was Miles Walker. He stated he didn't know if he didn't drop the pennies off at his house. He went to say he got his money, so that's all that matters, referring to Mr. Fladden as a weenie.
A weenie?
Fladden's nightly routine, these are all words that are getting Matt excited. Lame, weenie. Fladden's nightly routine consists of cleaning pennies so that he can use them. And on the bright side, he's actually found a few rare collectible ones that are worth some money. Okay, I'm calling it audible here. Congratulations, Paul DeCrocco. You are this week's in a cigar insane asylum.
That was the grease pile.
Wow.
At the end of his driveway. And those were the pennies.
Look at that. Look at that.
I should start doing Paul's weekly producer pay like that. Just drop.
I feel like you would do this. In all honesty, I don't know if you would line them with grease.
No,
but I think you would do this.
But yeah, I might start doing your weekly producer pay. At least I know you'd be doing something every week that was worth the money, dropping them off on your driveway.
Oh man, I just keep coming back for more.
Coop, what else you got going on this week?
Well, I'm gonna be in Florida the whole week. I head up to Orlando midweek. I'll be stopping by to see you. But we still have content coming out. You'll see some reviews coming out. Monte Cristo 1935 is coming out. Jeff Borshowitz will be our guest on Thursday night from Orlando. So stay tuned for that. But
Nice.
I'll be doing next week's show actually from Orlando. We rent a house there almost every year, and I'll be doing it from there.
You're gonna be in the shop, or are you gonna do it from the house?
Oh, we're gonna do it from the shop. So yeah, we're gonna go up to. I couldn't get to Smoke Inn, unfortunately. The way we rented the house, we had a lot of problems actually with this trip because of the gas problems we had in Charlotte. We didn't even know if we were gonna be able to pull it off because there was no gas for a while up there, as you know.
And Boofy, what do you got going on? Anything good?
I'm just gonna
without shutting the show down.
Just go ahead. Just do it.
Well, that's actually a fair point. So, okay, eliminate points 3 and 17 from my list. I'm going to be licking my wounds here. That's not code for my self-destruction. Probably doing a little, fantasy role play somehow involving Cooper. A little Magic the Gathering action, Coop. I know you're familiar, probably. And other than that, I'm just chilling.
All right. Well, that being said, if you missed our spotlight feature, it was on Room 1 at Connecticut. Go to smokein.com, use the code room 15 through today and tomorrow, and you can get 15 additional % off on that cigar.
Room 102.
Room 102, room 101, whatever it is. Next week, our special guest. You would think this would be a Where Are They Now segment, but it's not, because from the stories I've heard, they're coming back in the cigar industry. And a new format, it's Eddie Ortega.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh,
that's
wow.
my boy.
Eddie.
Yes. He's coming back in the cigar industry, from what I understand. And we're going to break it here on KMA Talk Radio next week. So check us out. Thank you for spending your 2 hours of Saturday morning. I hope you definitely entertained and informed and had fun with you guys. And not all of you have gone to Facebook jail. And we will definitely catch you next week. Until then, keep it lit.